Hi, it's Brian here, and I'm at the Cool Room Emporium in Robertson on the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. We're on the main road. It's raining, but there's lots of records that are inside. This is my first time visiting, so why don't we go in and check it out? So I've just got back from the Cool Room Emporium at Robertson in New South Wales. But before I go into my purchases, let me set the scene as to how this day unfolded. I was sitting at home doing everything I possibly could to avoid finishing writing a song that I've been working on when I got a text from King B. And the text was just of an album cover, of an album that I'd desperately been wanting to get back into my collection since the great vinyl purge in the 90s. And then another text came through which said, "You got to come and see this place." He told me where it was, and I said, "I can be there within an hour." And he said, "Okay, I'll wait." So I'm out the door in record time, and I hit the bottom of the Macquarie Pass. Now the Macquarie Pass goes up the side of a mountain, and it's got all these hairpin turns, switchbacks, and all that sort of stuff. And it was a cold, wet, misty, miserable day, and I'm fearful about getting caught behind a truck. But I'm in luck today. The gods are shining, and so I get to the top of the pass, and I'm in Robertson. We've got the world famous Robertson pie shop on the right hand side, and they are good pies. We've got the world famous big potato. We've got big prawns, big bananas, big potatoes, big people in Australia, but no time for that. And I spot the Cool Room Emporium, which is housed inside the old cheese factory. What an absolutely magnificent building. And I park the car, head straight inside, meet Jess behind the counter, who's absolutely lovely and really friendly and helpful. And then, like a ninja, there's King B by my side, and he says, "This way." So we head towards this set of steps, and on the left-hand side, there's one crate full of albums, which I have a quick flick through, but there's nothing in there for me, though it still looked really good. Up these steps, and there's this long corridor full of vintage clothing, vintage knickknacks, and there's a lot of people who are, they've got their own little shops or little stalls there who are selling stuff. If you weren't interested in vinyl, you could easily spend a couple of hours up there. Anyway, come into this opening, and just on the right-hand side are these crates of vinyl. It doesn't look like a lot at first, but let me assure you, there's no schmutter. There's no Jim Neighbours, there's no James Last, there's no Robert Goulet, there's no Steely Dan. That's a bit of an in-joke, but if you ever ask me whether I like Steely Dan or not, I'm going to take the fifth and say that I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that it may incriminate me. Anyway, looking through these albums, they're all arranged in alphabetical order, and there are sections on prog and punk and country and blues and jazz. You get the picture. Every album is housed within a plastic sleeve and plastic inners as well, which are really nice. And we get this information on the front, which gives you the name of the artist, the album, and the price. So, what did we pick up? How did we go? Let's find out. Whooshka! Question. What was the album cover that King B texted to me that got me out of the house and speeding up Macquarie Pass? Answer. We Are Devo. Yes, Devo's first album, absolutely iconic. Brilliant album cover. Look at that. So good that they decided to put it on the back as well. This is 1978. I think this is an original American pressing, maybe. I'm not totally sure on that. It's on the Warner Brothers label, and it comes with an inner sleeve, which is really cool as well. It features images from the Truth About Devolution film, and on the back we see the boys in their yellow boiler suits, plus lyrics to all of the songs bar one. Now, I'm not going to go into this in too much detail because I'm going to do a full deep dive video on Devo's first album, like I did with their album Freedom of Choice, which I'll leave a link to below. But I was around when this album first came out in 1978, and there was no greater guarantee of being able to fill a dance floor than putting on Uncontrollable Urge. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, wow, how good was that? Their version of I Can't Get No Satisfaction just beggars belief how it works, but by God, it does in their own unique and distinctive way. I really love the song Gut Feeling and Slap Your Mammy. And the final song, Shrivel Up, is so bizarrely chaotic and weird that I now view it as the gateway, the portal that was given to me by Devo into weirdness, and that I was able to appreciate weirder and stranger things because of this album. Very important album for me, and that is the first one I picked up. The second album is from 1981, and this is something I've been looking for a while, and it is Gary Numan's double live album, Living Ornaments 79 and Living Ornaments 1980. And these were two shows that were recorded at the Hammersmith Odeon way back in the day. And I'll just open up the gatefold for you to have a look at. And we have the track listing from 1979 with Cars on it. And if we move over to 1980, we've got Down in the Park, Our Friends Electric, We Are Glass. Absolutely stellar. 79 is a great concert. It features Billy Currie, best known, I suppose, for his work with Ultravox on keys. Roger Mason in 1980 is also stellar. But what is really revelatory to me was the rhythm section of Paul Gardner on the bass and Cedric Sharpley. My God, I love his drumming on drums. Absolutely superb. It also comes with a little insert as well, just the one. And on the back, we have this little message from Gary in which he says, I do believe that my fans are amongst the most loyal that I've ever known. What other fans have you known, Gary? Staying with me despite almost total criticism from the written media and some others. This is one of the main reasons that I continue to stage rather lavish shows at considerable loss to my bank balance. It was my way of saying thank you. And these two live albums were supposedly going to be his lasting testament that he would do no more live shows after this. But I have a feeling that he did Living Ornaments 1981 as well. Next up, whatever. Next up is an album very dear to my heart, and it is Roy Buchanan, R.I.P. Roy. Roy Buchanan's When a Guitar Plays the Blues. And this came out in 1985. There he is on the Alligator label. Got a feeling this is an original US copy. And I remember seeing Roy at the time with a couple of mates at the Tivoli in Sydney while he was touring this album, and picked up the vinyl, picked up the record, should I say. And then after that first gig, went home and then came back the next night to watch him play. I was completely enamored by the way he hit his harmonics and his volume swells were absolutely incredible. Some great songs on there. Short Fuse is sort of his Peter Gunn type number. But it's the first three songs on side A, When a Guitar Plays the Blues, followed by Chicago Smoke Stop, and then into Mrs. Pressure, a song, a ballad. It's beautiful instrumental written about his first guitar teacher, which really are just sheer perfection. I'm so sorry that he was gone. I went to see him on the next tour as well, but after that, we saw a newspaper article, and unfortunately it was all over. But really, absolutely happy to have that album. And after that, it was time to pay Jess at the counter and go and have something to eat. And we went to the bistro at the local pub, had a beautiful falafel burger and chips, absolutely wonderful. And then King B and I said our goodbyes, and I started to head out of Robertson and towards the Macquarie Pass. And just as I got there, I was to the top of the pass, I went, put on the brakes, because I realized I'd left one album behind, and it was an album that I was buying for a friend of mine, Robo Dude. And the album is the Stray Cats' Runaway Boys. And this is an album that he absolutely adores, and it's certainly formed part of the fabric of our friendship. It's not sort of the stuff that I really love, that I say that the band of Lee Rocker, Slim Jim Phantom, and Brian Setzer work together beautifully, and they're great musicians. I love Runaway Boys, and I particularly love Stray Cat Strut. You know, I don't bother chasing mice around. Oh no, I slink down the alley looking for a fight, howling at the moonlight on a hot summer night, singing the blues while the lady cats cry. Wild stray cat, you're a real gone guy. I wish I could be as carefree and wise, but I got cat class and I got cat style. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful album. So I hope he's going to, and there's going to be no poll this time. Robo Duty's getting the album. That's it. But here's the thing. When I went up to look for the Stray Cats, it took me forever to find it again. I was trying to work out where did I put it back in the albums, and eventually I found it sort of secreted away, as I suppose us diggers like to do, to make sure nobody else finds it. And after about 20 minutes, I found it. But I also found this along the way, and I showed it at the beginning, and this is Time Traveller by Billy Thorpe, and it is 1980. It's a 1980s compilation. And at the time, it's a really good Australian career-defining compilation, which sort of cashes on the success that he was having of Children of the Sun. But I love how you see the different incarnations of him. There's Sunbury Billy, and then he changes in the 70s, and then he's got his Children of the Sun stuff happening there. He's 21st Century Man. And all with the guitar ship Enterprise up the top there, absolutely spewing out Billies like you wouldn't believe. And great compilation indeed. And on the inside, we have this essay that's written by Gil the Rat Matthews, the drummer of the Aztecs, which takes us through the album. Absolutely wonderful. And on the back, we have the track listing. Beautiful double album. And we go from the early stuff to the late stuff. What do I particularly love on this album? Well, it's got most people I know. I love I Am the Sea. It's surprising that this has turned up, because it was originally released under the name of the Wild Cherries with Lobby Lloyd, an environmental action or warning song. I love Time to Live. On side 4, it's got a wonderful version from the $1 Million Bill album of Out in the Street Again. But it's not from that album. It's actually recorded live at a pub in 1975, and it's like a 10-minute excursion into funk, which is brilliant. It's Almost Summer is always great. And 2 cuts from the Pick Me Up and Play Me Loud album by Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs, Moving on a Sound, and Baseballs. Really cool. Absolutely wonderful. And I can also report that they have a good range of CDs and a range of singles. There's not that many singles there, but they've been really curated well So you just might find yourself an absolute treasure there. I was very tempted to pull the trigger on a couple, but I thought I might save those for next time. They've also got a lot of music books, biographies, how-to books, encyclopedias, that sort of stuff, and a range of magazines. And I was happy to pick up a couple of record collectors dirt cheap, of $4 a pop. And that's going to keep me inspired between visits, I think, between visits to record shops. So I'm really happy about that. So would I go back again? I would absolutely go back. It's a fantastic day out at Robertson, but I would have one caveat emptor, and that is because there is no grading system on the stickers, what I would suggest doing, and what I'm going to suggest to myself, is to use the price as a grading system for these albums. So for example, an album that I got very cheap compared to what I've seen online was Gary Numan's Living Ornaments. And the reason for that is because it's got quite a bit of crackle. Now, there's no skips, there's no major pops or anything like that, just a lot of crackle. And I tend to find that what I do is when I hear a bit of crackle, I start listening for it. And I just start to hear every bit of crackling. So what I did was I just turned up Gary Numan really loud, and it sounded so much better. And every time I heard the crackle, I just thought, oh, it's the audience, you know, that uncontrollable thing in the controlled environment or out of the controlled environment. And another album that I got, which was significantly less than I would expect to pay, was Billy Thorpe's Time Traveler album. And why is that? Well, you can see there's some water damage on the cover. So that's what I'm going to tell myself to, as a buyer beware, is to use the price as a grading system. And if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it's super cheap, there's probably a reason there. Because I think the person who's selling these albums knows what they're doing, and you know, through the plastic sleeves that they're putting on. And I think these albums have been looked after very well over the years. They just might have been played quite a bit. Anyway, there's lots of treats in store for you at the Cool Room Emporium. So that's it. It was an absolute pleasure going with King B up to Robertson to have a look at the Cool Room Emporium. And don't forget, of course, that if music of any size, shape, sound, or substance gives you pleasure, then who am I to argue with your opinion? If you've enjoyed going on this trip up to Robertson with me, please think about hitting the like button there. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash that subscribe button as well, because you know you want to. Anyway, that's it from me today. Until next time, I hope you're going really well, and bye now.